Our first session is on AI and the future of finance careers. We have Nirav Shah that is going to be joining us. Nirav joins us from Mumbai. So this is hopefully, I saw a couple of people say in the chat that they're based in Mumbai. So I'm loving that we have global representation here. Nirav, welcome to the event. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here. Super excited to be here.
So, Nirav is a leader in quantitative research and AI driven investment strategies. He has over 20 years of experience integrating advanced AI and machine learning into finance. And he's going to help us understand how these technologies are reshaping our industry and what that can mean for your career. So, with that said, I'm going to hand it off to Nirav for our first session.
Thanks, Mian. Just a little bit on myself. Versor Investments, which is a firm which I work with. I'm a co-founder. We are one of the AI first hedge funds, managing about $1.4 billion across a number of systematic AI strategies. At Versor, I run the AI based event driven strategy. That's my core. And I also have two teams that report into me. One is the recruiting and HR team, and then second is technology. Right. So when I look at all the three, my objective today is to sort of combine these insights across all the three functions of investment research, HR, recruiting, and technology, and give you insights on how AI is transforming the world of finance. If you go into the next slide, please. Next one, please. Yeah. Great. So, what we're going to do over the next 35 to 40 minutes is first cover AI in investment management, asset management that we do. And also in general across finance, how AI is transforming the investment world. We'll talk about the roles in the ecosystem which are specific to data science and AI. Uh, Overall, every single role gets impacted, but what are the new types of roles that get introduced now? What are the skills that are important for the future for everybody who's sort of joining? I'm very excited for all of you because you're sort of several of you are at the start of your careers, and we are at very, very exciting times. AI is going to transform the way we do things, and we'll talk a little bit about what are the skills that are necessary for an individual to thrive in the AI driven world, and then last end with some of the tools, the AI tools that uh, each one of you based on your interest should get familiar with, should start working on to sort of build that expertise. Artificial intelligence, it's a buzzword overused today. We hear it every day, right? What does it mean? It means AI aims to create machines or systems that can perform tasks that would typically require human intelligence. They would typically mimic human behavior. Machine learning is a subset of AI where we are focused on systems, predictive algorithms, which learn from data. Whenever most people talk about AI in finance, most of it has been from machine learning. What they really mean is machine learning rather than AI. NLP is a specific type of machine learning model where the primary goal is to understand, interpret, and generate human language. I think the AI revolution was really, it was started on 30th November 2022 when Chat GPT was introduced. Chat GPT and all of those similar large language models use some form of NLP. The next phase of AI is what we are saying is the agentic AI. And the agentic AI are basically systems that are capable of autonomous decision makings based on taking action to achieve a goal, right? So once we give a goal to an AI bot, it sort of takes its own decisions to achieve it with minimal human intervention. And this is where we think is the next generation of AI is coming in. And finance is very interesting because it has a lot of data. lot of structural data. It's one of the few industries where there is tons of data readily available, and that's a core ingredient for AI systems. So we do think that every aspect of finance and financial careers will get impacted by AI. A colleague of mine has sort of uh, coined a term called AI of Things based on Internet of Things. He calls it artificial intelligence, Net of Things. And the basic premise is this, that every single task that we do, every single role that we have will be transformed with AI. And it's critical for individuals who are working in those roles to adapt to it. In general, AI is a transformation, not a simple automation. It allows us to focus on high value tasks rather than the routine tasks that most of us spend our time on. I think we've put in a poll right now. Yeah, how familiar, it would be good to know based on everybody, right? How familiar are you with the AI ML tools today? Just to get an idea of, where the various participants are. So you would see a poll come up on your screen. It would be great if you can sort of select an option.
And let me read the poll for everyone here. We have the first question. How familiar are you with AI and machine learning tools today? This is a single choice response. Hopefully, everyone can see the poll. You have four response choices. I use them regularly in my work and studies. I've experimented with a few. I've read about them, but have not used them much, or I'm totally new to this. Please place your votes. Oh, it looks like we're having some difficulty showing the poll. If you are an attendee and you cannot see the poll, please let us know in the chat. It looks like there's only one person that might be struggling to see this. Kaylee, are we having results coming in?
Yes, we have a few hundred, so,
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll give everyone. It looks like a lot of people are having difficulty seeing the poll. If you're an attendee and you have your Zoom like snapped to one side of your desktop, if you go ahead and try to make it full screen or go Alt Tab on your Windows based keyboard, you might be able to see that the poll window has popped up in the background. Okay, I think we have a couple of hundred responses, so I think it's pretty good. Okay, Kartik to the rescue over there. If you couldn't see it, then there's the bottom of your Zoom screen. You see raise hand, Q&A, and then you see dot 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 more. For our next poll, if you click there, you'll be able to see it if the window doesn't automatically come up on your screen. Okay, it looks like we've just shared the results, so I'll throw it back to Nirav.
Yeah, very exciting results. I think 30% of the participants regularly use it in your work studies. That's excellent. And then a lot of them have experimented. So this is great. It allows us to sort of create a context for the rest of the session. So moving forward, right, we use machine learning models in our investment management process since inception in 2014. So that's over 11 years ago. But I think the real first big take came in was around 2018. So that's when Versor started working on a lot of alternative data. And alternative data could be any data set that's not collected without the primary objective of financial investing. So an example of alternative data set could be credit card data or app traffic data, web traffic data, things around flows, forex flows, mutual fund flows, uh, literally you name it, patent information, uh, number of open positions for a particular company. So around 2018 is when we started looking at these alternative data sets, and we quickly realized that these large data sets were unstructured, multidimensional, and the traditional statistical techniques would not work for any analysis. So that's where we sort of moving in into advanced ML techniques and more of AI work, which I'll cover later today. But that was sort of the trigger for Versor to look into this. And the benefit of using a lot of these AI models is one, it allows us to manage these large unstructured data sets and gain insights alpha out of that. Second, it also allows us to capture complex non-linear relationships, which were difficult earlier. So there would be something called as hidden alpha, things which were not sort of easily available through statistical techniques today are available through the advanced AI ML techniques. And if I just talk about the investment process, today we use AI across every aspect of the process. So we use in alpha forecast prediction, covariance risk management, portfolio construction. And another area where sort of fundamental managers also use AI is into deep research for companies, right? So it allows you to summarize insights across a large number of sources. If I give an example, I don't know if any one of you has tried using deep research features on Gemini or ChatGPT. You would find is if you're researching a particular company and you sort of go into the deep research mode, it actually goes through 40 different websites to give you analysis across a large number of parameters, across profit margin information, cash flow information, revenue, sales, segments, impact of tariffs, use of technology, literally you name it, insider information, insider trading information, things like that. So the idea is, so what the way AI has done is it has allowed an analyst to spend less time on collecting information and more time on analyzing it, right? So, in general, one, it allows us to perform complex tasks, it allows us to analyze complex data sets, but also do it all very much faster, right? So, while improving literally productivity in terms of multiples of magnitude. So here are some of the cases that sort of we use on our day-to-day basis. Just to give you a case of, okay, in a financial world, in a hedge fund world, how does AI get used? So I have three case studies here. The first case study is consumer card data. And essentially, this is information about credit card spends. And that information comes in real time or almost real time. And it allows us to predict the impact of sales. So are there does the credit card spending provide some insights on, for example, say Netflix, on the sales of Netflix before the management call, before the management official earnings come in. So it allows us to gain more real-time insights into company performance. So that's case study one. The case study two that we see is news. So what we see here is the relationship between news on Amazon versus the price of Amazon. So every day there is news coming in. It could be formal news from uh, papers, news sources. It could be also from social media. It could be reviews. There are multiple uh, avenues of news and information that come out every day for companies. And AI models allow us to process them almost real time and then evaluate if there is an impact on the price. The third case study is earnings call. Every quarter or after annual earnings, management comes up, have earnings call in which they give information about the company performance, future outlook, things like that. And we do get transcripts of those earnings calls and we supply them through advanced AI NLP models to come up with whether the call was positive, was it negative, and other insights from those transcripts. So again, these data sets are they were not they're all relatively new data sets, possible to be used in investments, investing, only because we today have the tools, specifically the AI based tools that allow us to analyze this data. Another key aspect over here also is, a lot of these data sets have a financial intuition on why they may impact um, asset prices or sales growth or things like that, right? So there is a investment case on why these data sets are interesting. I do want to spend a few minutes on agentic AI because that is the next phase. Let me give you an example on how agentic AI is being used by us today. And this applies to every aspect, but let me just give you one where it's most widely used. So in the past, say I am downloading, as I mentioned, we work on the event driven strategy. So we download a lot of news filings from companies from the SEC website. And in the past, uh, pre-AI world, an analyst would read those news filings and understand, derive the relevant information and process it. So one, it was not scalable. We could do it for it was a manual process and it used to take time. So there was a time lag between the information being filed and an impact that we see in the markets. Today, in the agentic AI mode, we can build bots that would continuously scan the SEC website for information, download it, process it, understand the relevant information that is there, summarize it for us, and also give us the data sets that we are interested from those. Right? So the entire so so we use an agentic AI for tasks like these to sort of systematically get information, process it. We also use it in software development a lot. So earlier, when a particular analytics need to be developed, the developer would come up with the use case, build the code, test it out, and then there would be an iterative process around it. Today, in the agentic AI mode, we tell the AI agent that this is the data set, this is our objective, these are the kind of analysis we need, this is how we test whether the analysis is robust, and we give it some examples, and that's it. We define the use case to the agent. The agent will write the tool, it will build the tool, it will then test the tool to make sure it works as per expectations. If it doesn't work, it will recorrect its code and do that iteratively till it gets satisfied with the output. And then in the end, it will actually also generate a detailed document on how the tool needs to be used. So agentic AI is transforming the way we build tools, the way we build codes, and introducing productivity at huge scale, right? And this is something that can be applied to every single process. So I gave two examples. I gave an example of uh, code. I gave an example of reading documents from, say, SEC website. But this can be applied to every single process that is there. So, for example, if there is a back office operations process, an agentic code can do that systematically every day on reconciling between different counterparties. Or if there is a trading process, the agentic AI can sort of look for fills and improve the trading process. Now, the point I'm trying to make is at the end of the day, the humans are still needed to guide this process to make sure it works well, but there is uh, there is an improvement in productivity. So agentic AI is the next phase that each one of you that will sort of impact the processes, and there are sort of five different components here. The model is the brain, so that could be an LLM, chat GPT or Gemini or any of those LLMs. The tool is the uh, is sort of the window for it to interact with the external world. So that could be a an ID sort of interactive development environment, or a email setup, or a web search. But it is how the model sort of talks to the external world. The memory is both short-term memory, long-term memory, where the model remembers how it was used earlier and it sort of gives continuity in context. The instructions are what a user gives to the model. So that could be both user instructions, software developer instructions. Basically, the model follows these instructions to execute on the queries given to it. And then the guardrails are essentially safety net to make sure that the model doesn't stray afar or doesn't hallucinate. Agentic AI will impact every process, and it's important even if you are not technical. I think it's very important for each one of you to understand how these work, and then go back and say, okay, in my day-to-day world, in my day-to-day role, how can I apply this? How can I automate tedious tasks? How can I improve productivity for me and my team using agentic AI? So those were sort of some of the areas where in the asset management world we use AI. I'll move into the investment banking, and across in the investment banking across it is used across the deal life cycle. There are a couple of areas I do want to highlight. So one is client insights and personalization. Uh, Content creation has become extremely easy with AI tools. Most of you would be using ChatGPT and Gemini. There are several tools for creating images. There are several tools for research, and for writing blogs. And just so you know, as part of AI is extensively used for blogs, for client communications, for fact sheets, and in general content creation. Another area is due diligence automation. So, as part of any due diligence process, large number of questions are filled in documents. This is a very tedious process, and having AI here to fill up these due diligence documents, to check them, to improve on them, has again been a big area of productivity improvement. And then I think one more is also trading and execution, right? Just applying AI and improving the trading algorithms. There's a lot of data there. If we look at granular tick by tick data, there's just ton of data available, which is sort of the main fuel for these AI algorithms. Now, people often ask me that will the role of the analyst remain in the AI world? Uh, One way is yes, of course, because if the AI goes wrong, whom do you blame? But the jokes apart, I think what's important is it allows the analyst to perform better. The analyst is needed. AI is like an internet moment, or where it just improves our productivity multifold. Some other applications of AI in finance in general, fraud detection. So these algorithms analyze transaction patterns in real time to detect and flag fraudulent activity. We know regulators all over the world actively use these for market manipulation signals and for just tracking the markets. Credit scoring and lending, banks, non-banking financial lenders use these AI tools. Again, there is a lot of data available, and finance industry is great where there is data to apply these AI tools. So credit scoring and lending algorithms can be improved using AI. Robo advisors is one more, where an AI powered platform can offer advice and portfolio management services at a fraction of costs. And in general, I think across every role, across every aspect of the business, where there are routine tasks, AI would be able to automate that, and agentic AI would play a key role over there. I think maybe we take a pause here. We spoke about the application of AI in finance. Taking some few questions here.
Hi, Nirav. It's Ryan here. That's a fantastic start to the presentation. There's a couple of questions that have come through, so perhaps I can just share them with you to get your expert opinion on. Um, so just going back a few slides there, Nirav, to the Agentic AI slide, where you had the Agentic AI components, the model, memory tools, instructions, and guardrails. So there's a question that's come through that says, in practice, which one of these do you see as the biggest challenge for organizations to implement securely and effectively, and why is that?
That's a great question. That's a great question. If you can go back to the slide, that would be good to sort of provide some context. That would be great.
Yeah. Let's just go back, Haley, if that's okay.
And that'll be
Go
slide
back.
6.
We're used to going forward. We need a bit of practice backwards. There we go.
Yeah, perfect. Great. So I think if we look at this, the most critical over here is the instructions and the guardrails, right? The AI model works only as well as the instructions on which it is trained and that guidance or the guardrails that is given. And so that is critical. It's very, very easy to have biases in these models if that's not taken care of. So I'll give an example. Suppose you're trying to build an investment trading strategy using ChatGPT, right?
Mhm.
And you go and ask GPT to uh, invest in stocks based on certain filter criteria. How do you make sure, because ChatGPT has all the history available till today, how do you make sure that it already doesn't know the performance of a particular stock and has not included forward bias in its
Mm.
analysis, right? So making sure that while using these LLMs, so ChatGPT in this example would be the model. We can use ChatGPT, we can use Claude from Anthropic or DeepSeek, any of those. The question is, how do you make sure that that particular model has not does not have forward bias? And that so the instructions for the model on how to process the data, how to get trained, becomes very, very critical, because the instructions and the guardrails have to ensure that the AI sort of accounts for any forward biases that it may have. Often, AI also goes off track and tries to give results which are extreme. Again, these become critical. The instructions and the guardrails become critical in making sure that those extreme instructions does not come in, right? So again, in the investment world, last thing you need is, if you have an AI based strategy and the strategy to completely tilt towards a single asset class or completely tilt towards a single stock, right? So there are sort of guardrails and instructions on how the models need to work.
Brilliant. Right. There are some other questions that have come through. Let's have a look. There's one for the next slide as well on the deal life cycle. So, Kelly, if you just go forward one slide, I think it was the next slide, Nirav,
Yes.
from sourcing to execution. This is it. So, in your view, the question is, which stage today benefits the most from AI in practice?
I think the three I highlighted definitely are low hanging fruits. Let me put
Mhm.
it that way, right? All of them benefit, but others are more intense. They require more specialization, more resources, and lot of human intervention and oversight. But the low hanging fruits on this particular slide definitely are client insights and personalization, where you're coming up with content, you're coming up with your fact sheets, your environment commentary, and AI does help in shaping your views into language, into images. And then due diligence automation. It takes a ton of time. It is error prone, it's extremely manual. And for AI to come in and automate this, um, using all the historical due diligence questionnaires that you would have filled, it could actually rely on that and then any new questionnaire comes in, it's a very low hanging fruit for AI to automate and improve the productivity here.
Okay. I know that Mion's got a couple of questions, and there's also Sanjeev's got a good question in the comments as well, but I'll hand it over to Mion first of all.
Yes, I'm gonna. So this is a question that has been asked in our Q&A. This is probably going to be not a concern, but I would say something that people that are going into undergraduate and graduate degree programs are taking a little bit more seriously these days. Given the rise of AI, does a finance major still make sense, or should someone that is considering finance also now consider in equal weight something like data science or computer science? I think we all have like some pretty unique opinions, and some, yeah, I think I think I have a strong opinion on this. I'd love to hear yours, Nirav. I think everyone would love to hear yours.
No, that's a great question, and I think it's very pertinent. My answer to this is, one, to do your major, you have to go with what interests you the most. So that would I would start. And I think from that perspective, if finance is what interests you, it is important to go with that. Uh, Knowing the domain is extremely critical in today's world. So understanding finance is as critical as understanding data science or computer science, right? So I think if you are very good in understanding the business part of it, you can guide the AI tools well in doing the heavy lifting for you on data science and computer science, right? So as we talk later on the toolkits, I think all three of them are important, but I do not think that somebody needs to forego doing a finance major. I think that's a very important skill, and if that is of your interest, please go ahead and build a strong knowledge in finance, and then the AI tools, you'll be able to guide the AI tools well on the problem statement to do the heavy lifting for you on the data science part and the computer science part.
And then I have another question here from the audience, and this one is something that I've thought about, something that everybody thinks about, especially, for example, this was years ago now. As Whole Foods was acquired by Amazon, you see automated checkouts happening. Everyone's like, oh, where's my job going to go? Um, are there any jobs that you think in finance that are completely safe from AI automation? Fields that people can go into with confidence, thinking no one's ever going to replace me.
So I'd like to reiterate, right? AI will not replace humans, um, especially for jobs which require critical thinking. I think that's very, very important. AI, right? And so I think every job in finance will require use of AI. So if anybody thinks that they do not need to use these AI tools, will be left behind, because the improvement in productivity is just so high that somebody else using these AI tools will get the same things done in 1/10 of the time, right? So I think it's important that every role gets familiar with and I'll put it differently, right? It's like somebody in the 90s saying that I will stay away from internet. I don't think internet is helpful, and my point is you cannot everybody uses internet. It's going to be everywhere. We are at that moment for AI is going to be part of everything, and we have to be users of AI. That's where we are going across every role.
And something that is a little bit more broad. This is from the audience as a very broad topic. I would love to get both your guys' opinion on this, and then I'll share my opinion as well. Do you think the role of a CFO will shift from financial stewardship to being more of a chief data and AI strategist in the next decade? And I think in the context of this session, it's most relevant.
So in the hedge fund world, and I'll tell you from what I see, right? In the hedge fund world, because data strategy is so critical, most, uh, uh, including us, have a separate data strategy executive, right? Who is responsible for data strategy and everything around data, and not necessarily combined with the CFA role, right? Data strategy is now critical, especially for quants. It's just so critical, and I think it's going to be critical for everybody. So data strategy, AI strategy will require its own focus. And I don't necessarily think that it will mix with the CFO role or the COO role. It may report into those roles, but it will require a separate focus.
Yeah, and I like completely agree with you. But I thought it was a really interesting question because it's basically asking like, do we see another like the staple not going anywhere C-suite roles, of course, CEO, CFO, and depending on the scale and size of the operation, COO. It's like, are we adding another staple C-suite executive? That'd be great for everyone to aim for. There's one more spot available. But at the same time, when you think of a role of a CFO, like the pillars of that, the core pillars of that role are, financial reporting and compliance, cash and treasury. So just overseeing liquidity generally, budgeting and forecasting. So an FP&A team would typically roll up into the CFO, risk management, cost control, and general efficiency. But like those are all so separate, I think, from AI and data strategy that I can't actually see a CFO role changing. Like all the core pillars that I think make up a CFO role, sure, I think everybody, like you said, needs to adapt to AI and learn how to use it and become a power user of it. It's kind of like as you said, someone in the 90s said, "Oh my God, internet, it's so scary. Like, I don't know what can be done on there. I don't want any part of it." That person gets left behind. And I think in finance, it's so important to be a first adapter of technology because it's not really going to go anywhere. So the person that is a PhD in, let's say, like some type of quantitative analysis, they're going to be a much more robust user of an LLM in their field than anybody else is. Um, so, like, I don't see AI and like data strategy replacing the role of a CFO. Similarly to the way that I don't see AI really replacing any people and their jobs. I think it's so important that the operator behind the AI has like they are the most important consideration. It was so
Yeah.
interesting. Like I had a conversation with this is very bizarre, an Uber driver, and he was talking about how he thinks education will be so different. Higher education, whether it's undergraduate or graduate degree programs. He's like, whether you go to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Princeton, whether regardless of where you go, AI is going to be your PhD master. Like you're not going to be able to outsmart it. But at the same time, it's like, does that replace true education? Because LLMs and AI are built by humans. So it's kind of like a chicken and egg thing. But I thought that was an interesting question.
No, absolutely. And just on that point, right? I think you're valid that the CFO role does not change, but the CFO will use sort of AI to get more real-time data across the organization, right? So again, it's coming back to the same point that they would be a user of these tools, and that would apply to every single role.
And there's a little bit of a theme coming through in some of the questions, and I know that you've addressed this, so I'm just going to fire this at you really quickly, and it's a simple yes or no answer to make it binary and easy. Will the financial analyst role be completely substituted by AI agents?
No.
No, that's what I thought too. But I think a lot of the people on the session today just want that reassurance from you that that's not the case. So here's another slightly more involved question that's come from one of our listeners. Since AI has reduced the reporting life cycle, in your view, are there any traditional valuation metrics that aren't quite as insightful anymore, or has things not really changed from a valuation point of view?
That's a great question. I think things have not changed from a valuation perspective. I think now there are more metrics available, but the core metrics that were important before are still important. I think what has changed is information is flowing faster. so that gets incorporated faster in the markets, right? And that is what something we need to be cognizant of. But I don't think the metrics themselves have changed. They're still equally important.
Yeah. I'm going to see if Mion's got a question for you, because there's a few more up our sleeve for you. You're doing really well. Oh, we've got some more
Sorry,
slides to go.
I'm
So
on.
maybe we go back to the slides.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to the slides because Nirav still has he's still got a ways to go, but we wanted to make sure we had that Q&A in the middle so that we don't save it for the end and miss any of them.
Excellent.
That was a great set of questions. So I'm glad we did that. So the next phase is, okay, what are the opportunities in AI and finance? Again, the traditional financial roles will remain. That does not go away. But there are some more roles that are there that specifically lean towards AI. So the analyst is still very, very important. I think it is important that the analyst uses these tools um, to research companies, to come up with commentaries across every aspect of the role. But the role is extremely relevant even today. The another role is data scientists, again, extracting insights. So the AI can be used to extract information, to present it, but the data scientist is then needed to sort of build the models using that information to improve the models and things like that. The machine learning engineer is more from an engineering perspective. All these workflows, AI workflows, do require or do involve an engineering aspect to make them efficient, both from a cost and time perspective. And the machine learning engineer role is very much relevant for that. AI product manager is a very critical role. And this is where somebody who is not technical, but understands the business well, understands the domain well, can be extremely helpful, right? So it's very important to understand that. So between the data scientists or the machine learning engineers are technical individuals, and they may not understand all aspects of finance or the investment strategy. And that is where a AI product manager or an analyst comes in and sort of becomes that bridge between the sort of the technical team and the product and the C-suite or the board or whoever are the final users, right? So this is a very critical role for somebody who is non-technical. And then AI risk specialist, again, this is a subset of a risk role where you are more focused on identifying and mitigating risk associated with AI models. Moving on. So, what are the skills needed in the AI world? I think there are two broad areas: the technical skills and the non technical skills or the soft skills. Let me go with the technical skills first. One does not need to be a developer or a programmer to use AI. The first foremost skill that you need is understanding the domain, the business on how does, what drives the business, what drives that role. And that I think is the most critical because that will allow you to guide the AI systems. The AI systems will do what they are trained and they will be guided by the users, right? So I think building that domain knowledge is super critical. Prompt engineering, I think, is a very key skill. There are, uh, I think that is something that one should practice and look for resources to help with that. All AI models across every aspect will require prompts, and this is a very, very key skill that anybody today should pick up. Data analysis, yes, AI can quickly give you a lot of information, a lot of data. How do you understand it, interpret it, figure out if the model is hallucinating, giving you information that is junk, becomes critical. Programming concepts is again critical to guide, not to develop, but to guide the AI system to build something. As I mentioned, like in our lot of our analysis now, we just explain in plain English to the AI system what we want to do, and the AI essentially builds that entire code set and then tests it and then documents it for us to use it literally. So but understanding those programming concepts is important. And then in general, AI enabled financial modeling of, okay, how does it differ from what we do today in Excel or things like that, right? So these are some of the key technical skills that would help each one of us to sort of take up as we move into this AI OT world. The human centric skills, and these are the critical skills that AI cannot easily replicate. First is critical thinking and problem solving. I think what's the big thing that's changing is this: rather than do the task, we will spend most of our time on thinking around how to do it efficiently, figuring out how to do things, and then guiding the AI systems to go ahead and get it done will be the critical thing, right? So I think the biggest change in every role is that we'll be spending more time on thinking and analyzing than actually doing the task. Put it, if we describe it well and we guide the AI systems well through our prompts, it will do, right? So that's, I think, the biggest transformation for us. Within that, so as part of thinking, critical thinking, problem solving, what is the pain point, what is repetitive becomes critical, identifying that and then guiding the changes around that. Communication and storytelling becomes important. You would have a lot more data available to you. You would have lot more data analysis available to you. How do you effectively communicate that to the management, uh, to the board, to your colleagues, to your manager becomes critical, right? And I think that's again a key skill that we should focus on. And then I think the third is just adaptability and lifelong learning. The rate of change of processes and improvements that we are seeing uh, is tremendous. I'll give you an example on an agentic AI tool that we use for software development. Uh, we started using a new tool literally a month ago, and we are doing things today in minutes, which if 3 months ago somebody had asked me how to do it, I would have said, uh, we don't have the expertise. So things where few months ago we thought we didn't have expertise to today we are doing it in minutes is the pace of change that we are experiencing, right? And so I think it's very critical for each one of us to keep learning, to adapt. There is a lot of new tools coming out, and I think that's the key here. Just keep learning, keep improving your skill sets uh, every day, and that's the key, and I think that's a skill that we have to all adapt uh, and keep doing. I think we have one more poll that we've sort of set up. Maybe we bring that up, or maybe after the toolkit. Yeah, let's do slide 13 and then we can do the poll. So the AI toolkit, uh, so this is some of the tools that I think is very critical for each one of you to start looking at today. And these are different toolkits. So the large language model is something everybody is aware of. So ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, these are just different LLM models. Each one of them have their pros and cons, and you can use them. I'm sure most of you are using them today. AI coding assistants, these are basically no code platforms. You write in plain English what you want to do, and it will build the tool or the code for it to do it. They'll also do testing, they will do documentation, all of it. So, Cursor, Codogen, Codex, these are some of these tools. So, if you are a developer, software developer, and you're not using these actively or you're using traditional just chat GPT to help you with the code, um, I would suggest looking at some of these platforms. Writing productivity tools. So Jasper is a tool that can help with writing blogs. Motion AI is a productivity tool. Again, it will help you optimize your calendar. It sort of syncs your calendar and your task and helps you just optimize how you focus on your priorities. These are examples. You can always search for their competitors and see if there are better options. But these are just tools that help you improve on a day-to-day basis. Image generators, if you're working on presentations or LinkedIn notes or tweets or anything. So all of these image generators are pretty helpful. Dolly, Midjourney, Canva, Nano Banana from Gemini that sort of came out literally a couple of days ago are all good. Uh, Platforms, so Hugging Face, TensorFlow Hub, these are where people put in a lot of their AI models. So if you are someone who's interested in going deeper into technicals, into various models, and exploring just so it's these are communities where people discuss and also put in a lot of open source AI tools and modules. So definitely recommend checking those out. If you are developing apps and tools, Lovable, Bold.new are again tools that help you build apps very quickly. You don't need to be technical. You just need to describe what you need, and it will quickly build the apps that you need. Then you can roll out. And then if you are into research, then Elicit, Consensus, Research Rabbit are different research tools. They with different ways. If you're starting out, Research Rabbit is good to get research summaries. Consensus is good for fact checking. So different use cases here. Again, it all depends on what is your interest, but I think just getting comfortable with a lot of these tools that are there on a day-to-day basis would be just very helpful to improve um, in whatever you are doing every day. And last but not the least, online courses, like I said, keep learning. That's very critical, and that that's always critical, helpful, right? And then CFI does a great job there. So I think we have a poll here. Yeah, we can bring that up.
Okay, yeah, we have our second poll. If you can't see it, go to the bottom of your Zoom application window, click on the dot more. There should be a poll option there. This question is, if you had to learn one AI platform or tool this year, which one would you pick? Is it ChatGPT or general large language models, LLMs? Is it a AI coding assistant like Cursor or Codex? Is it a data and research tool like Elicit or Consensus? Or do you maybe want to play around with image and video generation through Midjourney and Canva AI? Or are you maybe more interested in app building automation platforms like Bubble and Bolt.new? Okay, everyone, let's make your choices and then we will share the results of the poll in the next few seconds. And Kaylee, can you let us know roughly how many responses we have so far? Oh, okay, there we are.
Great. So excellent. 43% on data and research tools. That's very interesting. 33% on large language models, ChatGPT, Gemini, and then 10% each on coding assistance and app building. So that's pretty interesting. Very good to know. So just summarizing, if you go to the next slide. AI is here, it's changing finance and it's creating exciting new opportunities. As I mentioned, AI will reshape jobs, it will not eliminate them. Humans plus AI together is better than AI alone. And the best opportunities will go to those who use AI effectively. I think it's important that each one of us focuses on building a hybrid skill set, taking online courses in data science, AI, even finance, the domain, soft skills, seeking out internships that AI tools will help. Start building personal projects to combine finance, tech. If you go to platforms like TensorFlow Hub or Hugging Face, you will find models there. You will find data if that is of interest to you. Just summarizing, I think it's not about being replaced by a machine. It's about leveraging technology, AI, to become more powerful, effective, and indispensable to your team. That's it from me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna do a brief Q&A. We had our Q&A in the middle of the session to make sure that we got everyone's questions in. We'll get a couple more in here before I'm hoping to give everyone a 5-minute break. before our next speaker. This it's already 10:24, so let's just dive right in to one of the questions. Let's see here. Okay. Very broad question. I'm not a quant or data scientist. How can I transition my experience into a more AI centric role without completely changing my career?
That's a great question, and we have this conversation a lot in our teams, also with people in, say, roles in the operations side, or compliance side, and even on the marketing side, right? Who are not quants, right? But they do want to use AI. And so I think there are multiple things that you can do. Is one is be familiar with all the tools that are there out there. Second is look deep into your day-to-day process and say, what are the things where AI can help us automate? I think that is very critical. And then define that so that the technology team or the quants can sort of come in and guide, right? So sort of put in the hat of an AI product specialist for your team, where you are the bridge between the current way your business operates and how AI can come in and make it more efficient.
Okay, and then we have one last question before we're going to go for our little bio break. And this one is, I think, something that's going to be very helpful for everyone on this call or event, I should say. What is one piece of advice that you can give someone starting out in their career today?
That is that's a great question. I
Very
think
broad, but
one.
good question.
So what I would say is what we covered earlier, right? Is do not stop learning. Get outside your comfort zone. Try to use these AI tools. Do not restrict yourself, and just keep learning. It is a transformational moment. A lot of businesses will be appended. A lot of roles will be changed. And I think if you're starting your career, you have to be excited that you get a chance to fully embrace the new technology and use it to sort of do things differently than how it's being done in the past.